I cannot unsee what I just witnessed in this episode of Gintama. Did I really just see a cat in a humanoid body walking around with muscles that you can grind meat on? Blood going from its mouth to its chest, painting its coat. The cat is talking, and also an eyeball dangling from its eye socket. Please tell me I didn't witness what I witnessed, because the eyeball alone finished me off. I don't even know how to react to that. Like, a fucking eyeball hanging from a cat's head. Gintama. Wow. Just like... Am I the only one that was just staring at the eyeball the entire time? Please tell me I'm not. Please tell me I'm not the only one that was staring at that cat's eyeball the entire time it was on screen. Like, I wasn't even looking at the dialogue. Like, fuck the dialogue. I wasn't even looking at the subtitles or anything. I was just looking at that eyeball just dangling. I'm sorry. It's just like, it was so distracting. Just seeing a cat walking around like a fucking man with an eyeball dangling and just bouncing like it was doing. I couldn't stop staring at it. Like, I really couldn't stop staring at it. I'm sorry, I couldn't. Like, every time I tried to look away and look at the dialogue, I just... my mind kept looking up. My eyeballs were like, nope, I can't stop looking at it. It was like, oh my god. One thing I will say is that this is beyond belief funny. Like, fucking hilarious. Because it was talked about in last week's episode of Gintama that Gintoki's part of his fluff ball, or his soul, went inside of the anus of a cat. A dead cat, to be exact. And this cat has came back to life and now is like in a humanoid body. And the fucking cat, man, is just so priceless right now, because the interactions right now going on in this with the cat and Otai and all that. And then the ending scene with Hijikata when he just walks in and he has drool coming from his mouth and nose. And it was to make it look like that was his impressions of Gintoki and how Gin looks like to everybody. That was too good. But once again, I have to express my thoughts on the eyeball. The eyeball dangling from the cat. So damn distracting that I just couldn't pay attention right. I couldn't. Like, I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned as much as I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought Gintoki and Hijikata would have really stayed focused on that eyeball majority of the time instead of just, you know, the entire body, because the eyeball was just so disturbing. And, you know, it's not just that. It's the art style on top of it that really just, I guess, gets the final cherry on top of the cake, because the art style of the body looks like a freaking big buff muscle man. And then the head looks like some form of Hello Kitty art design. And I'm like, why the fuck is a Hello Kitty art design on a big buff muscle man? Like, why? Why? Like, it's just so unsettling when you see that, because the body just does not suit the head. Like, it really doesn't. Like, the body is just so... yeah, the episode... besides that, getting into other things, you have it to where there is some obvious growth going between Hijikata and Gintoki in this episode. They're starting to learn how to be proper leaders and what happens if a leader changes above its organization and different things like that. It was a really good way to demonstrate how Hijikata and Gintoki really hold together the represented sides of the town. For instance, odd jobs and then, you know, the police. Getting to see how both sides, you know, hold their own and, you know, how their personalities go through their organization really just goes to show you how much influence they had and what happens if these two kind of disappear and change. I mean, we get to see police going into like some form of Fist of the North Star type ordeal, and then you see it to where Odd Jobs is doing some form of reference, which I don't really recognize the reference, to be honest. I probably would know if it was told to me, but for some reason, for the life of me, I cannot really recognize the reference that the Odd Jobs is doing. But for now, though, it's pretty fucking hilarious the way this episode is done, and I'm liking this arc, because judging by the way the episode was going, like in the middle when you get to see Tama driving a truck, she hits Odd Jobs and the police, and that's where that little segment ends. So I'm going to assume that everybody's going to be switching bodies next week, and we're going to get to see everybody in different bodies, most likely. We're going to get to see some very funny comedy, not just with, you know, Gintoki or Hijikata, but with them in general, getting to see everybody switch bodies. If I had to make my bets, I'm going to say, like, someone like Kagura is going to switch with Sogo, and then, you know, Sogo is going to switch with Kagura. I could see something like that happening. But yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do you all feel about this week's episode of Gintama? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.